What's up, Muffin Sacks? First video on a new channel, and I'm kicking it off with something simple, not too hard but not easy for a filthy casual like me. Today, I'm going to be beating Pokemon Shield with only one Wooloo. Or at least trying to. There are definitely other videos out there doing similar things, including Twitter user Salvax, who literally did this run right after the game released. But I want to do it myself. I've never done any sort of Pokemon challenge before, but I'm looking forward to trying. Now, despite his popularity, Wooloo isn't a very good Pokemon per se. He's not as terrible as, say, Sunkern or Kricketot, but nearly all of his moves by level are normal type, so if not for TMs, we wouldn't have much variety. And even with TMs, there aren't very many we could use, with Electro Ball and Wild Charge looking to be the best of the few. His stats aren't very high either, nor are his abilities anything special. Rules are pretty simple. I am only to use Wooloo in this run, and will only catch any other Pokemon if the game forces me to do so to continue. No cheats, hacks, or glitches that can help me forward through the game, and no items in battle other than held items. That last rule is more of a personal challenge, and I'm hoping that I'll be able to stick to it. This is all recorded prior to me selecting my character, and now that that's all out of the way, let's get started. So we went through the starting cutscene, which honestly should have been voice acted, and then met up with our best friend, Hop, before rushing off to meet his big brother, Leon, the undefeated champion of Galar. God, I really don't like him. Anyways, we pick out our starter before being forced to chase a fluffy disciple into the woods. We run into a ghost, get saved by Leon, and then headed out to the next town in order to receive our Pokedex from Pokemon waifu Sonia. With that in hand, plus a few Pokeballs from Leon, the true challenge is ready to begin. I rush back to Route 1 and catch the first Wooloo I see, before naming him after a PokeTuber who inspired me to do this challenge, and henceforth, Bread has been born. I take a bit to level him up on Routes 1 and 2, taking out some trainers before meeting up with Hop and absolutely demolishing his joke of a team. Bread and I then head onto the train, riding with Hop only to be stopped by a pack of wild disciples who have blocked our path and left us stranded in the wild area. There, I decide to grind just a bit more before arriving at our next destination, Motostoke. We customize our outfit and sign up for the gym challenge. From there, Brett and I run over to the hotel to rest, coming across Galar's joke of an evil team, Marnie's Simps. I carry Hop to victory before meeting Marnie, a goth rival with a knockoff Pikachu as her companion. The next day, after the gym leader ceremony at the stadium, Brett and I rush off to Route 3 in the first gym. We end up running into Hop just at the town's exit though, so we squash him once again. After that, we rush through Route 3, coming across Sonia briefly, before finding ourselves in the Galar Mines. We take down every trainer on our path before meeting our third and final rival at the end. Bede, Bed, whatever his name is, wasn't much of a problem. His Solosis confused us right off the bat, but we managed to endure him long enough to knock him out along with Gothita and Hadna. We finally arrive at the first gym, meeting our first challenge in the form of the Grass Leader, who bumps into us with his own fluffy disciple. We head into his gym to herd some disciples, but we're facing off against him, getting crushed by his Eldegoss despite our superior leveling. Time to grind a little. We level him up to level 26 before returning to the gym for a rematch, and Brett is just barely able to clutch the win from his Eldegoss. He would have lost again, had I not increased his max health using Dynamax candies. After claiming our first gym badge, we head to Route 5. Deciding to celebrate our victory, I whip the two of us up some curry. For our main ingredient, I decided to use pasta. Yeah. So I added some berries and we healed up before continuing on our journey. We ran into some of Marnie's Simps, who we quickly dispatched, earning us a Rotom Bike. With this, we can get around the wild area much faster. Anyways, we arrive at Holbury, speaking to Rose and his assistant Karen before rushing off to the water gym. We meet with the second gym leader, Nessa, before following her into the water gym. Overall, the challenge was pretty easy, and so was her battle. That is, until we got to Dreadnought. I was caught completely off guard by his typing, and got speed pretty fast. However, with a few more levels and a realization that my fighting move would be super effective, we came back and claimed our second badge. With that, we left Holbury, stopping with Rose, Olena, and Pokemon waifu Sonia, and followed Hop into the second set of Galar Mines. There we fought Bede, who we defeated by spamming Payback, along with a Galarian Stunfisk or two. We eventually found the gym leader, but only after a double battle against two more of Marnie's Simps. Brett and Hop's joke of a disciple fought together to defeat them with ease. We exited the mine on the other side, looping around a moto stope where it's time to defeat the fire gym leader Kalu. Hop warns us that many trainers end up quitting the gym challenge because of him, so I decided to spend a few hours grinding levels with Bread in the hopes of beating him in one go. By the time we arrive, Bread's already level 46. We arrive at the gym to find out the gym challenge involves battling Pokemon, earning 1 point for defeating them and 2 for catching. Luckily, the game doesn't actually require for you to catch any of them, so we take our 5 wild Pokemon before moving on to fighting Kalu. Our first attempt was, well, pretty bad. His Ninetales was easy to beat, but like I suspected, he was simply a tool to inflict a burn on us, one that would seal our fate. His second Pokemon, Arcanine, tanked through our attacks with its spammed Flame Wheel. Alone it didn't do much, but the combined damage with the burn effect left Bread in terrible shape when his final Pokemon, Scentiscorch, appeared. I realized that if we were to beat this gym, we'd have to become strong enough to one-shot his Ninetales and avoid the burn effect, so I grinded out levels in the wild area, eventually coming to an astonishing level 64. I didn't think I'd have to get this high for only the 3rd gym, but I soon realized we have to go even stronger to take down the other obstacles in our path. We returned to the gym for our rematch, starting it off by one-shotting his Ninetales. Then came his Arcanine, who we took down in 2 hits. His final Pokemon, the Mustache Scentiscorch, was defeated with 2 measly max strikes. With that, 3rd gym badge was in hand. We healed up before setting off to the wild area alongside Hop, so we could venture towards our next destination. We were briefly seen off by the first 3 gym leaders before encountering Bede, who challenged Hop to a battle and subsequently destroyed him. We head to Hammerlock, briefly meeting Chairman Rose and the undefeatable champion Leon afterwards. He sends us to go talk to the 7th gym leader, Raihan, who then sends us to talk to Pokemon Sonia, who's observing some of Hammerlock's ancient painting. Once the exposition dump is over, we rush into Route 6, fighting our way through Marnie Simps and several trainers. I end up running into a wild Yamask and quickly realize that the greatest challenge of this run may be upon us, the 4th gym. While in Pokemon Sword, this gym belongs to Bia, the fighting gym leader, in Shield it belongs to Alistair, who specializes in Ghost-type Pokemon. I remembered a battle with one of Marnie's Sims earlier in the game, where I was forced to spam the move Payback in order to defeat a Sableye because none of my other moves could affect it, and that's what we'd have to do here. We arrived at Stow-on-Side and were forced to fight Hop once more before challenging the gym. His confidence was shaken, and his miserable defeat by our level 64 Bread probably shattered it. Surprisingly enough, his own disciple wasn't in his party. Anyways, we headed inside and I fought my way through the 3 gym trainers and the surprisingly fun puzzle. When I made it to the end, I came to a realization. Not only could I only use the move Payback, but I could only use it 10 times. I rushed to the Pokemon Center to heal it back to full before fighting the gym leader, but realized that 10 moves wouldn't suffice. So I tracked down a PP up to raise it to 12 before rushing into the fight. Despite my high level, it wasn't enough. I got forced into a temporary stalemate with Yamask after it disabled my Payback for several turns. Mimikyu wasn't that hard, but took 3 attacks to beat. Cursula was the bane of this battle though, hitting me with a curse that sealed my fate. I managed to get Gengar into the red zone, but Curse took me out. However, I had a new strategy, and that strategy is Gangsta Wooloo. Earlier in my run, I obtained a pair of black glasses, which, if you don't know, boost the power of Dark-type moves. I swapped out my Everstone, headed into the gym, and basically sweeped his entire team. His Yamask went down in 2 hits, his Mimikyu following with 3. Then came his Cursula, who I luckily one-shot. Then came his final Pokemon, Gengar. He was actually the only one who hit me, but only for 19 points. I accidentally forgot the G-Max, but nevertheless he went down in 2 hits. And with that battle over with, we had 4 gym badges in hand. After exiting the gym, we ran into Sonia before encountering Bede, who's stirring up some trouble once again. We fought and beat him with ease, spamming Payback to sweep his fully psychic team. Chairman Rose then arrived and disqualified him from the gym challenge, leaving 1 less obstacle in our path to victory. From Stow-on-Side, we headed to probably the best looking place in the entire game, Gleamwood Tangle and the neighboring town of Balanlea. When I first saw the previews of this game, I instantly fell in love with this town and its style. However, it's pretty small and lacks any sort of depth, so you don't have much of a reason to stay here long other than to admire its beauty. However, before we fight the gym, there is one thing we need to do here, and that is to obtain an Eviolite. The Eviolite is an item that boosts the defense and special defense of any unevolved Pokemon, including Wooloo. We battle a breeder in one of the houses to get it. Before heading into the gym, we encounter the 5th gym leader in the form of the creepy old grandma, Opal. We fight through her 3 gym trainers, answering her questions in the process. We don't have much of a problem with any of them, and before we know it, we're facing her in the stadium. We went against her Galarian Wheezing first, taking it out with 2 headbutts before she sent on her Mawile. We tried to use Double Kick, but despite its typing, it basically did nothing. Double Edge didn't do much either, and after answering a question wrong, it seemed we were at an impasse. Mawile continued to spam Iron Defense, and I finally took it out after a Double Edge and 2 more Double Kicks. Finally, she sent out her Togekiss, and we one-shot it with a Double Edge. Opal responded by sending out her Arcrema, and after I both Dynamaxed, I one-shot it with a Max Strike. 5 gyms down, 3 more to go. We were escorted back to Hammerlock by Opal, who became immediately intrigued by the sudden appearance of Bede and his pink jacket. I found her sudden reaction sort of funny, and after dealing with those 2, we rushed off to the next gym. Only to encounter probably the most surprising problem in this run, and that was Hop. Brett and I met up with Hop on the bridge, who forced us into a battle I never thought I would lose. I did, but not easily. His Trevenant went down easy with 2 paybacks, but then came the tank I just couldn't overcome, and that was his Snorlax. Its constant use of stockpile made it basically invincible, and it managed to confuse and paralyze us before we took it out. His Heatmor and Boltund wore us down until Inteleon knocked us out for good. I tried fighting him a few more times before coming to the conclusion that Bread wasn't just strong enough. So I leveled him up a few times before challenging him again. Luckily, we managed to take Snorlax out without Hop using a Hyper Potion or Boltund paralyzing us. Overall, the battle was pretty easy. From there we went north to Circhester, another city I find pretty nice looking. We immediately head up to the gym, making our way through the trap-filled gym challenge before challenging the 6th gym leader, Melanie. She sends out her Frostmoth, who we take out with 2 headbutts. She then sends out her Darmanitan, the Galarian version who I like quite more than the original. We hit it with a double kick, lowering its health into the red and activating its Zen mode. The bouncing Snowman and Fire hits us with an Icicle Crash, before we finish it off with a headbutt. She then sends out her Ice Cube. We take it out with 2 double kicks, the enemy hitting Bread with a Freeze Dry. Her final Pokemon is Lapras, and from there the Battle of the Titans begins. I hit Lapras with a Max Knuckle, and it replies with the G-Max Resonance, damaging me a little, but not much. We exchange attacks twice more before I finally take down Lapras, securing our win. And with that out of the way, only 2 gyms remain. After the battle, we headed to one of the local restaurants, coming across Hop and Pokemon waifu Sonia once again. Turns out, someone decided to leave this legendary piece of history hung up in this multicolored cafe without any second thoughts. However, she mistook some old grey tarp as it instead. After that, we headed over to the hot springs, where I was forced into a battle with Hop once again, and because I wasn't paying attention, we lost. I left to grind a little bit more, bringing us up to an astonishing level 88, and we returned to Crush's Dreams once more. From there we headed south, running into Marnie Simps once again, harassing that elderly scientist. We saved him, and he gifted us with an upgrade to our bike, allowing us to ride on the water. We rode south of the freezing tundra, before arriving at Hot Topic, Spikemuth. But before we can challenge the gym, it turns out the front doors are locked. Because for some reason, this city has a front door, and there's only one known way inside. Luckily, Marnie manages to sneak me in, where we discover his simps blocked out the other challengers so nobody else can earn the badge. We prepare to fight through this gauntlet of foes before running into a problem. One of the battles is a double battle, which means we're required to bring 2 Pokemon. Begrudgingly, I leave and catch a Magikarp on Route 2, naming it after my lunch that afternoon. After that, Bread, Meatball Sub and I rush into the gym challenge, trampling over Marnie's simps with ease. We manage to make it to the gym leader before experiencing a somewhat uncomfortable cutscene of him singing for his fans. Remind me again, why wasn't this game voice acted? Anyways, we get his attention and challenge him to a battle. For some reason, we're fighting in what looks to be an alleyway, probably because of a lack of funding. Jeez, Chairman Rose really needs to get his priorities straight. I will admit, his battle music is kind of fire. We take out his Scrafty with a pair of double kicks before he sends out his prized Obstagoon. He blocks out my first double kick with Obstruct, lowering my defense. He hits me with a Throat Chop, but it doesn't do much. I attack again and he blocks me out once more before I hit him with a second double kick attack, finishing him off. Piers sends out his Malamar next, and I send him into the red with 2 headbutts while he puts me into the red with Psycho Cut and Foul Play. Extremely low, I knock him out with 1 final headbutt. Bread is injured, but 1 final Pokemon remains. He sends out his Skuntank and hits me with a Sucker Punch, nearly finishing me off. I hit him with 2 headbutts to finish him, but my final attack sets off his Aftermath ability, knocking out Bread. But then, I won. I was shocked. I shouldn't have won that. Bread got knocked out too. And then, I saw it. The mistake that never should have happened. Meatball Sub. He was still in my party when I faced Piers, and his survival meant my victory. But because this run specified I could only use Wooloo to win, I closed out of the game. One more time. With Bread at a whopping level 97, we battled Piers once more. Bread got flinched by Scrafty, but 2 double kicks knocked him out. Obstagoon went down the same. 3 more hits and we took out Malamar. Then came his final Pokemon, Skuntank. We spammed Payback, and even though we were poisoned in the process, Bread and I prevailed and claimed our 7th gym badge. Only 1 more left. Outside of Hot Topic, we ran into Leon in the midst of some sort of catastrophe in Hammerlock. However, he told us to continue on with our day and left to take care of the issue himself. For once, the adults aren't leaving the 10-year-olds to save the world, and I don't like it. We make our way to Hammerlock Stadium and find ourselves face to face with Raihan, who would end up being our greatest challenge. Well, 2nd greatest challenge. I'm writing this part of the script in Winden, and let me just say, it took 2 days for me to beat this guy. Partly because I got frustrated and procrastinated for most of that, but also because beating that man with 1 Wooloo is difficult. So like Hot Topic, this gym challenge requires 2 Pokemon. Sadly, I must retrieve Meatball Sub from within the PC. We battle against the gym trainers and end up losing to a Ninetales who burns us and disables our headbutt. Seriously, it's always the status effects that get me. We heal up, come back, and whoop the rest of those trainers with ease. And with that, our final gym battle is upon us. Now see, Raihan has 4 of the most irritating Pokemon I've ever encountered on this run. Gigalith, Flygon, Sandaconda, and Skyscraper. Don't know his name, don't care to learn it. We head into the battle, and right off the bat, Gigalith causes a sandstorm, while Flygon knocks out Meatball Sub with a single Thunder Punch. From there, we take out Gigalith with 2 turns of double kicking, where Flygon begins Endless Wrath of Breaking Swipe, a move that reduces your attack with each turn. I decided to focus on Flygon in the hopes of knocking him out before my attack is too low to take out his last 2 Pokemon. Replacing Gigalith is Sandaconda, who paralyzes me with Glare right off the bat before spamming Protect. I take out Flygon with 2 more headbutts, while Sandaconda hits me with an Earth Power between Protect. Finally, the Sandstorm fades. With a super effective move in the form of Max Knuckle to take out Duraludon, we start the Megazord battle. However, it does basically nothing because my attack is already so low and Duraludon's defense is so high. With 2 Max Knuckles from Duraludon and 2 Earth Powers from Sandaconda, we're forced into the red. I try to attack Sandaconda, but its Sand Spit ability causes yet another Sandstorm. More Max Knuckle from Skyscraper, and the battle is over. I tried this not once, not twice, but at least 12 more times before I figured out an effective strategy. Half of my attempts I quit the game halfway through the battle to save time, because the attack pattern wasn't to my advantage. I analyzed the battle carefully, knowing that if I was to win, Flygon would have to use Thunder Punch in the first turn, and my attack on Sandaconda between Protects would hit. I also decided to level Bread up to level 100, along with maxing out its friendship so the added benefits such as higher chance to dodge, resisting status effects, and enduring a KO would apply. I even tried using safety goggles to block out the Sandstorm damage, and a black belt to power up Double Kick, but none of those worked either. It wasn't until a lonely Sunday night that I finally figured out the perfect strategy. With hope in our hearts, Bread, Meatball Sub, and I entered Hammerlock Stadium. The battle began, and I started off the battle by hitting Flygon with a headbutt. Luckily, this caused him to flinch. I realized that while Sandaconda and Flygon were a threat together, they weren't as much as one apart. I took out Flygon with a second headbutt, while Gigalith hit me with a body press. To my surprise, Meatball Sub was still alive. I hit Sandaconda with a headbutt, while Sub splashed around, earning the attention of Gigalith, who smashed him into submission. Bread then knocked out Sandaconda with a headbutt, finishing him off. 2 Pokemon remain. Gigalith hit me with another body press as Duraludon entered the battlefield. The giant battle began once again, but Bread's superior speed allowed him to hit a max knuckle first before Skyscraper retaliated with the same. A body press from Gigalith reminded me he was still alive, and I decided to finish him off with a max knuckle. With one last giant turn left, I hit Duraludon with a max knuckle. To my surprise, it one-shot him. Together, we had prevailed. With the gyms out of the way, we set off to the Champion Cup. We headed off to the train station, where Hop and I rode together in a similar manner to the train ride that took us to the wild area in the first place. After exiting, we fought our way through Route 10 before arriving at the city of Winden, where the Championship Cup would take place. We signed up, slipped on our jersey, and entered the stadium. First up to bat was Marnie, whose Sims were probably cheering in the stands this time. We took out our live part with ease before moving into Scrafty. She tried to heal, but it was no use. With him out of the way, we knocked out Morpeko, who paralyzed us. Luckily, Bread shook it off and toughened up to take out a Grimmsnarl in the most anticlimactic G-Max battle yet. With her out of the way, we moved on to our second battle of the championship, Hop. He sends out his disciple, Double, who we take out with a double kick. Next is his Snorlax, who we take out with 2 double kicks. Hop tries to heal him, but he only gets a hammer arm off before he goes down. Next out is his Pincurchin, I don't know how to pronounce that. Next out is his Pincurchin, who we immediately eliminate with 2 headbutts. Next is Corviknight, who we hit with a double kick for a quarter of his health. He uses Mean Look and a Drill Peck before re-retaliate with Payback, taking him into the red zone. He uses Swagger to confuse us, but we finish him. Hop sends out his final Pokemon, Inteleon, and for some goddamn reason I forget to Dynamax. He hits Bread with a Max Darkness, which doesn't hurt that much, but Bread hurts himself in confusion. I finally Dynamax Bread, who gets hit with a Max Geyser before knocking on Inteleon with a Max Strike, winning us the battle. With our 2 rivals out of the way, we leave the stadium to see Leon waiting for us in the lobby. He invites us to dinner, only not to show up. God damn, Leon. Luckily, Piers comes around to inform us he's gone to Rose Tower, and rallies Marnie's Sims to escort us there himself. Outside though, we get sidetracked by the chairman's assistant Karen and her men. We fight him before arriving at the station, where Piers starts a street performance to clear the way. Once again, where's the voice acting? After that's all said and done, we arrive at Rose Tower, where Hop and I battle through a few League staff duos before confronting the true Karen herself. A battle ensues and she sends out her Frostlass first. I take it out in 2 hits, and next up is her Milotic, who tries to use Aqua Ring but is taken out in the same manner. I make short work of her third Pokemon, Salazzle, before 2-shotting her Tisserina. Finally, she sends out Garbodor, and 2 Max Strikes finishes her off. Funny thing, this is actually my second attempt. My first attempt went poorly, since I messed up on Frostlass's typing and had some trouble dealing with Milotic, who spent several turns spamming recovery. But on my second try, the only one who ever hit me was Garbodor. Funny how a few different moves could change the entire outcome of a battle. Anyways, with Karen taken care of, we rush ahead to confront Leon and Rose, who are in the midst of a heated conversation. The CG they use for the cutscenes honestly makes me wish some of the other conversations in this game were just cutscenes. The animation in most of them are lacking, so maybe using CG for some of the more complicated ones would have looked nicer. One more nitpick. If this is the top floor and it's just one big open room, why did Rose and Leon just stand there while a giant sheep and trash pile fired attacks at each other literally 10 feet away? Complaining aside, we head back to the hotel so Leon can treat us dinner, while the chairman monologues at his window. The next morning, Brett and I are escorted to the stadium to finally battle Leon and claim the championship to this region. Brett and I arrive in the locker room, where we witness the appearance of the gym leaders of Galar before walking out onto the pitch together. However, before the finals can begin, we are interrupted by another one of our rivals, the new fairy gym leader, B. Unlike the other battles we've had with him, we can't just spam Payback this time. He actually puts up a bit of a fight this time, and not just because we forgot the Gigantamax again. Anyways, he sends out Mawile first, who tanks through 3 double kicks before we take him out. Next out is Gardevoir, who we take out with ease. Then he sends out his Galarian Rapidash, formerly My Little Pony, who we hit it with a Payback, dealing very little damage, before finishing off with a Headbutt. His final Pokemon is Hatterene, who we hit with a payback while it Gigantamaxes and confuses us with the G-Max Smite. We grow up to its size and hit it with 2 max strikes, finishing the battle. With Beat out of the way, we'll finally start the real battle. But before we can challenge Leon, we'll have to beat several of the other gym leaders beforehand. First up is Nessa, who starts off with her Golispod. We hit it with 2 headbutts before it activates emergency exit, causing it to flee. It sends out her Seeking, who we take out with a few good hits. Golispod returns, only to get one shot by a headbutt. Next out is Barrascuda, who hits us with Liquidation before we retaliate with headbutt. Next out is Pelipper, who we wipe the floor with. Finally out is her Dreadnought, and Bread knocks it out with 2 max knuckles, ending the battle. For our second match, we battle against Suichi Sahara 2.0 Alistair. He sends out his Dust Noir and we hit it with a super effective payback. Dust Noir retaliates with the Rock Tomb, lowering our speed, before we take it out with one more payback. Next out is Chandelure, who hits us with a surprisingly devastating Mystical Fire, before we take it out with payback. We one-shot his Poltegeist and Cursula, before moving on to Gengar. He hits us with a G-Max Darkness, but we hit him with one back, leaving him with a splinter of health. Alistair heals Gengar, but a second G-Max Darkness finishes him off. After a brief pep talk with Marnie and Piers in the locker room, we head out to face our final opponent. Oh god. Not again. Please no. So he starts off with Torkoal, who we hit with a headbutt before finishing off with a double edge. Then out comes Turtonator, who we hit with a headbutt before he hits us with... Okay, how is this legal? So, we hit Turtonator with a headbutt, Ryan uses a full restore, and then it kills us. Great. So it turns out Turtonator knows a move called Shell Trap, which will basically destroy you if you hit him with a physical attack that turn. And lucky us, nearly every move Wooloo can learn is a physical attack. Yay. The only viable move he could learn was Electro Ball, meaning I'd have to grind max raid battles in hopes of a boss dropping one. But as our third attempt began, I realized that we wouldn't have to. We hit Torkoal with 2 headbutts, causing him to use a full restore to heal himself back up. Since Ryan used it here, he won't be able to heal up Turtonator. We finish Torkoal off with a headbutt and double edge before the bane of this battle appears before us. I hit it with a headbutt and Turtonator flinches, giving us the chance to knock it out with a double edge. Next out is Gudra, who uses Rain Dance before we take it out with 2 headbutts. Next out is Flygon, who flinches to our first headbutt before we finish it off with a second. Last out is his Skyscraper, and with 2 max knuckles, the battle is over. Brett and I have a pep talk with Hop and his Inteleon in the locker room before we head on to the pitch to finally face Leon. But as soon as we walk out onto the pitch, one final interruption comes in the form of Chairman Rose, executing probably the dumbest evil plan in all of Pokemon. So the match is postponed, and Hop and I rush back into the evil woods to find some magic rocks that'll help save the Galar region. Whoopee. We arrive at Hammerlock and rush into the energy plant to face off with Rose himself. He sent out Excavalier, who he hit with 2 wild charges while he used Swords Dance before countering with Megahorn. We finished him off with a double kick before he sent out Ferrothorn. In most of my attempts, he was the deciding factor. Bread couldn't use double kick without his Thorn's ability bringing down his health too low, and none of my other moves were effective enough. I tried using a black belt to power him up, but that didn't work. Eventually, I came to the conclusion that Dynamaxing was my only option. With that, we took out Ferrothorn with 2 max knuckles. Next was Klinklan, who went down in a singular max knuckle. He sent out Berserker next, who went down with a double kick. Finally was his Copraja, who Bread knocked out with a critical double kick. From there we took down Eternatus alongside the legendaries, catching him in a Pokeball before stuffing him into our PC, never to be heard from again. With the legendary battle over and Rose behind us, we headed to Windon Stadium to face off with Leon once and for all. And here's where we encountered our breaking point. Like Raihan, Leon had a team of Pokemon that each carried a specific element to stop us in our tracks. First out was Aegislash, whose attack pattern I was forced to predict to even get past him. I had to avoid hitting his King Shield and hit him with Payback before he could hit me more than twice. After him was Seismitoad, who wasn't much trouble other than being a tank. However, he did know Toxic, and if Wooloo didn't cure itself due to the friendship aspect, it would pretty much end that attempt there. After him was Haxorus, who's probably the easiest Pokemon to take out on his team. After Haxorus was Cinderace. His acrobatics basically did nothing, but his Power Ball was deadly. Bread's ability, Fluffy, lessened the damage from physical moves and doubled the damage from fire-type moves. If we managed to take him out, we'd face Dragapult, whose Flamethrower was also pretty deadly to our run. Several attempts later, I realized that I would have to Gigantamax in order to take out Dragapult. I would have to take him out with a single max Darkness, or else he'd finish me off. After Dragapult was Charizard, who I was only able to get to 3 times through all of my attempts. I soon realized that by the time I ate to Charizard, my health was too low to endure more than a single hit. I tried, and I tried, again and again. I started at 4 in the afternoon, and that night, around 10, is when I came to the realization that this run might just be impossible without using items. Whether I used an Eviolite or leftovers, it wouldn't be enough to endure enough hits from his team to take out his Charizard. I even tried teaching Wooloo Wild Charge to try and one-shot him with Max Lightning, but to no avail. It was impossible. I was forced to use several X attacks and an X speed in order to take out Leon's team. And with that, we claimed our victory. After all these battles and our adventures across the Galar region, I have come to the conclusion that no, it is not possible to beat Pokemon Shield using only Wooloo without using items in battle. There may be potential in completing this run with a perfectly EV-trained Wooloo, or by getting a nearly perfect attempt by flinching enemies with Headbutt or dodging fatal attacks with Wooloo's friendship. But as far as I know, it seems impossible. Honestly, when I realized that I couldn't do it, I kind of felt crushed. This is my first video, and my first ever time doing a challenge like this. And I failed. I kind of lost all motivation for a few days. But eventually I realized that I couldn't just give up. My first video may not be perfect, but nobody's is. I plan on uploading my second video in a few days on the things I liked and disliked in Pokemon Sword and Shield. If you want, please like, subscribe, leave a comment, just tell me how I did. I'm extremely new to doing voiceover stuff like this, so I hope I did good. AnikanDarkness, signing off.